Hello, my friends. Hello, my family. We are live. RBN Friday Night Live. Welcome. Appreciate all you guys for tuning in. We have a great show. Obviously, I like to focus a lot on foreign policy, state violence, and the class war, especially foreign policy. Especially because I grew up, uh, and many people my age will say the same. Many people my age, we grew up during George W. Bush Jr. I was in middle school slash high school when we had the Iraq War. So my formative years was watching our government lie to us constantly about foreign policy. That is that is how I grew up, and that's how I was radicalized. The Iraq War itself radicalized me. In the same way, it turned many people in our generation to be anti-imperialist, to distrust the U.S. government. And I remember the coverage at that time being so crazy, one-sided, advocating and pushing for war. And now that we have the power of hindsight, you have a lot of people who pretend they was always against the Iraq War. Tucker Carlson is like the best example of this. Someone who, like, you guys know Tucker Carlson supported the Iraq War. And then, like, him and many quote unquote right wing populists, Donald Trump was the same, where they supported the Iraq War. And then they come back later, I already knew there was issues with the war. This is what they always try to pull. These U.S. imperialists fight and they propagandize people to support endless war and U.S. militarism. And then they turn around once history showed it to be a failure, like the Vietnam War, and people pretend they didn't support it in the first place. That's the myth of like the Tucker Carlson right-wing populist who's apparently anti-war. We are starting to see the same thing with Ukraine, where it was obvious how to get this right. We at Revolutionary Blackout, we was getting this issue correct, and we was calling out the corruption of Ukraine. Now you have NPR, who has to admit this now. And as the American people continue to sour on this, as Europe continues to be starved by these Russian sanctions, appreciate everyone. Thank you guys for helping us get 20K. Big shout out to Kristen Gomez, friend of the show. We got Terry in the house, Holly. A lot of great friends of the show. We getting started. This should be a good one because I'm sorry I wasn't live yesterday, so I'm doing this early Friday live to make up for it. So now, like, people are starting to do the research now after the initial propaganda wave hit people. And now people are looking at the Ukraine situation. They're seeing the massive amount of money that has been sent to Ukraine. And now people are starting to ask questions. Now they're not brainwashed by this immediate new happening. Like, Russia invaded Ukraine, and the media immediately went to its propaganda techniques. And people, because they feel like they want to do right, the same way that people felt for the Iraq War, they wanted to do right. Oh my God, Al-Qaeda doing what? The terrorists are doing what over there? So people want to do the right thing. They realize it's a complete mess. And then when people talk about it later, they want to pretend that that they was always on the right side. So we're gonna talk about that. We're gonna pull the NPR article up because NPR is now talking about the Ukrainian corruption that we mentioned on this channel from day one. The takes that we had on Ukraine, you will see the Revolutionary Blackout Network and our friends and our allies of the network. We was getting this right first. And now you're going to see people coming aboard. You're going to see the liberals, the conservatives who was pushing this really hard. They're going to start asking questions. And that's what's going to happen at the end of this conflict. Like, maybe a few years down the line, whenever this conflict, whenever people started to really turn on this, right? In a few years, people are gonna be like, I was always calling out the Ukraine war. I was always calling out the Ukraine conflict, the same way that Tucker Carlson pretends that he was always against the Iraq War, the same way Donald Trump pretended he was always against the Iraq War. These people, the fake right wing populists who want to pretend they're anti-war. And by the way, guys, Tucker Carlson, I explained this many times. He's not anti-imperialist. His criticism of the war on terror was that it was bad foreign policy if you want to expand U.S. hegemony. Like, if you care about imposing capitalist dominance on the world, it was a bad foreign policy decision that didn't move us closer to doing that. That is the argument that Tucker Carlson makes now in hindsight. If you read his most recent op-ed, which I report on this show, he's all for the new Cold War against China. He's all for the U.S. imposing its hegemony on the global South. Imagine we get 80K more. Appreciate Mouse. I'll be happy to welcome another 80K to RBN. You guys saw CJ talking about it. We talking about having chapters. Like, we had an amazing Tour for the Poor event in Kansas City this month where we gave out thousands of diapers, fed countless homeless people as well. And the amount of support that we got from our KC comrades, it blew me away. I'm glad that we had a lot of people that was able to help us. And then once people saw that what we was doing out here in Kansas City, more people wanted to help. I had more, like, I guess, like, there were people who didn't know that our mutual aid was real, I guess. So then they saw the pictures that went viral on Twitter of us engaging in mutual aid. And now there are a lot of KNC activists who reach out to me like, we would love to help with this kind of thing. We would love to expand on these kind of projects of actually building a left. So you guys saw CJ stream. We're going to have RBN chapters all over the nation. And we essentially going to expand Tour for the Poor and trying to help kickstart this leftist organizing that we really, really need. Not organization that relies on the Democratic Party. Us putting our own face in our own hands. Us growing our own pro-worker movement. This should be our primary goal. And we are only a channel with 20,000 subscribers, pretty much no resources, and we're still out there feeding people, getting people diapers, influencing people to engage in mutual aid. Just imagine, this is my pitch. Imagine RBN with 100,000 subscribers. Imagine what we were able to pull out. What we mentioned many times before, we are activists that just so happen to have a platform. And we want to use this platform to instill real revolutionary discipline that so many people that are on the left that have a platform have not been doing. So many people just, they look for clicks, they make money on YouTube, and then they disappear. We don't want to do that. We want to really help be a vanguard of this movement. And if we continue to expand, which we will, we got a lot of great plans. Me and Ron was talking a lot. So that's the added incentive of us hitting 100K. Like, I don't never cared about being like a super popular YouTube guy, but I would love to influence as many people to have revolutionary discipline as possible to get involved in your communities, because that's the best we can do, right? So appreciate you guys with the great comments. Please like, share, and subscribe. Help share this so we can continue to grow. How much do you think you'll be in subs by the end of the year? We're gaining about 1,000 subs a month, but it speeds up as you get more subscribers. So I would love to get 30K by the end of the year. That's not unrealistic, right? RBN to 30K. RBN to 30K. Let's go, guys. Let's do this. So let's get to our first story of the day. Let me get the banner up here. NPR forced to admit Ukraine corruption. As I mentioned, this is something that the media used to report all the time. Let me pull up the article and we can examine it. But this is a tweet from a friend of the show, Gritty. And I've shown this image a few times as well, where Ukraine has for a very long time been considered one of the most corrupt countries in Europe, if not the most corrupt. And as a Black man who is very aware and I keep tabs on white supremacist groups and neo-Nazis, right? Especially being in Missouri where I remember like 2 years ago, maybe 3 now. There was an attack by a white supremacist group literally like 10 minutes away where I live. Especially once you get farther away from city limits in Kansas City, boy, you get into some rough neighborhoods. You get into some rough neighborhoods. And we always knew that there are Eastern European countries like Ukraine that had a large population that was sympathetic to Nazis, for example. Like they was always considered this Nazi hub where people will go to the motherland in Ukraine, where that's safe that's a safe space for white supremacy. I I didn't find the old clip where you had a ton of people in Ukraine that was in soccer fields that would chant, that was using the Nazi sign, chanting Slava Ukraine to intimidate black and brown soccer players. As someone who followed international soccer, that's been something that's been widely reported. Like black players get harassed all the time in Ukraine and other places. Especially there's a fascist Nazi movement in Italy where black and brown football players would get harassed. In Spain as well, it could be bad in some areas. But Ukraine, woo! Anyone knew. Here's just some of the headlines. This is from The Guardian in 2015, back when they allowed to talk about this kind of stuff. Welcome to Ukraine, the most corrupt nation in Europe. And this is another one. Ukrainian president's rule become increasingly corrupt, authoritarian. This is the one I shared before. Ukraine has more politicians in the Pandora Papers than any country in the world. This is the Pandora Papers receipt. This is stuff that we all knew about. We all knew what we was dealing with in Ukraine. Oh, let me take this off. You see this Pandora? Oh, god damn it. This site sucks. Pandora Papers reveal offshore holdings of Ukrainian president and his inner circle. But if you mention these kind of stuff like I have, it's always funny when you like look at shitlib Twitter and Ukraine flag Twitter. They all call me like a Putin puppet because I've been on Twitter again this thing right from day one, exposing what NATO actually is, calling out the corruption in Ukraine, and they all like, oh my god, social cinema Nick, he's a Putin puppet because we dare have the nerve to use facts and receipts to bring up the historical conflict of Ukraine. And now as this conflict is getting worse and as Russian sanctions continue to backfire on the West, to the point where you had a NATO chief who was yelling at EU members and European states. I got the receipt. Maybe I can find it. Where the NATO chief was essentially yelling at them, telling them to suck it up. Yeah, we are forcing you guys to starve out your own people. We are putting sanctions on your people. Gas and the price of gas is about to go up. There's about to be a food shortage, but fucking deal with it. Stop bitching and complaining. Let's see if I can find it. Here it is. Let me show you guys this. Because they know everything is starting to fall apart. Everything is starting to fall apart in Ukraine. Look at this. NATO leader tells Europe to stop complaining and help Ukraine. They already was. Like pretty much every single Western Europe country have been pretty much sacrificing their people and the livelihood of their own country to funnel this proxy war and give a ton of dark money and weapons to Ukraine, which officials admit are completely unaccountable. Completely unaccountable. A lot of people don't know where these weapons are going. A large amount of these weapons are being sold on the black market. So the quote-unquote liberals who claim they are against gun violence, they unanimously help flood Eastern Europe with a ton of weapons. Isn't that funny? The anti-gun violence people. NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg reportedly urged a legislative body of the European Union to stop complaining and take action and support Ukraine during its ongoing war with Russia. What else do they want? Like, we gave them so much weapons and money. They were literally one of the largest militaries in the world now. Foreign fighters flying in to fight Ukraine. Ukraine is essentially a de facto country, the same as Sweden and Finland, which is why it's ridiculous to try to put Finland and Sweden in NATO, because when you look at the reaction of the West during the Russian invasion of Ukraine, Ukraine is essentially a de facto NATO country. In this new Cold War and us fighting against Russia, all these countries are de facto NATO. You got CIA in Russia. You got CIA in Ukraine. You have UK intelligence officials that are in Ukraine on the ground. So what else do they want? They want other countries to starve the civilians. They want sanctions on. They want countries to put sanctions on their own people in order to expand NATO and expand their massive arms sales business. This is one of the most corrupt moves I've seen. And it's unbelievable that Ukraine has managed to convince world leaders to bankrupt their own country for this. It's an insane proposition. This is our boy Rome, world domination. That's exactly what it is. They are looking to establish U.S., UK capitalist influence on the rest of the world, to the point where NATO, they've been openly declaring war against China. I report on this on our live stream. That's their main focus. That's NATO 2030. That's their new initiative, to fight against China, because any opposing hegemony is viewed as a threat of the ruling class, because they are doing nothing but looting the treasury. It's not about protecting the Ukrainian people. It's about allowing the Ukrainian people to suffer as arms dealers, as Ukrainian oligarchs become more wealthy. That's what this is about. So actually, let's get into the article now. Let's because I was not realized I didn't even get a chance to pull it up now. Let's do chat check for you guys. Here's Rome again. It's funny too, because with all of them together, they still isn't strong enough for Russia, let alone China. Yep, this has been a massive mess for the West. And now Russia is saying that they are about to expand their military operation, because it's clear that the West, they're pursuing mutual destruction, because they rather destroy everything. They rather completely destroy the quality of life instead of us having a multipolar society and world, which would be much better. Like if you're a worker in this country, if you are a black colonized person, U.S. domination of the world obviously is doing us no good, right? When you look at the massive amount of resources that are siphoned to maintain our military bases, to fight our Cold Wars, this is wealth that is taken from our community, and our community is poisoned by the military. As I reported, the military dumped toxic waste and poisons the black community. You have the Navy that was dumping water in the Hawaiian seas and ocean and water flows. U.S. military domination only hurts us as well. And that's why I always want to preach to people. When I talk to foreign policy with people, I'm like, look all this money that they sent to Ukraine. That's money that should be coming to our neighborhoods. That's why our streets are starting to decay. I'm just going to make sure I didn't miss any super chats. If you guys want me to read any comments, please leave a super chat. Let's go to the NPR article. Let me pull it up and let's go through it. I didn't actually read a ton of it. So this is NPR, forced to finally admit this. Corruption concerns involving Ukraine are revived as the war with Russia drags on. See, this is the part we're like, fuck, this is not working out like the way we thought it was going to work out. You have people now asking the question, where is money going to? Why you guys constantly need new weapons? Like they were sending billions in weapons to Ukraine. And then Zelensky's wife just met with Nancy Pelosi and Joe Biden. So I think it was Joe Biden that she met with. And she went to the United States to ask for more weapons. And now people are like, where the fuck are these weapons going? You got Russia taking land left and right. Ukraine is losing in a massive way. And this is why, as we mentioned before, they had to lie to people and say that Ukraine is winning this war. Now it's so overwhelming. Now Ukraine's defeat by Russia is so overwhelming. They have to start admitting this, though, because it becoming too absurd to report it otherwise. But we have shown you guys how the mainstream media in the world has been pretending that Russia and their military has been humiliated in Ukraine, how their military was exposed as weak and ineffective. But think about it this way. How does this even make sense with the narrative that they've been putting out to us? So the narrative they've been telling us is we need Finland and Sweden to join NATO ASAP, as soon as possible. We got to rush them in NATO. But at the same time, Russia is struggling in Ukraine. So they say that Sweden and Finland had to join NATO immediately because apparently there's this threat that Russia's about to take over Europe. That's what they're selling to people. That they about to take over Ukraine. Finland and Sweden is next. But they wanted to tell you, sell the idea that Russia is struggling in Ukraine. If Russia is struggling in Ukraine, like the West will have us believe, why is there this threat that we're gonna invade Europe? Sorry, that Russia's gonna invade Europe. That Finland and Sweden is a threat. You see how it doesn't make sense? So you see how it's actually not about security? It's about forming the giant NATO bloc that Russia has a right to oppose. Especially as you have the U.S. have military bases all around the country, all around the world, surrounding China and Russia. Then you have active hostile NATO arming Nazis on the border. That's why they had to sell the idea that Ukraine was winning, because then people start asking these questions like, what the fuck happened? What are these weapons going? Why are we doing all this? And you notice that they have started to cover this stuff. Now that it's too late. Now that we already sent $60 billion, Biden's scheduled to send even more. The UK is scheduled to send even more. Germany has sent so much weapons and munitions, they literally ran out. They're out. They literally just said, "Hey, Ukraine, I'm sorry, we're not donating any more weapons, any more money." And when I first saw that headline, I was like, "Oh shit, Germany finally put their boot down." That's what it seems like. But then when you read the article, which I did, they was like, "Well, the only reason we're not sending more weapons and ammunition and support to Ukraine because we literally ran out. That's it." So now people are asking the question like, what the fuck? We send all these weapons to you guys and we're losing? So now they're asking questions about corruption. Now they're wondering where the weapons are going. Even though this was common knowledge, as I showed you guys. This was something that the mainstream media used to report on all the time. And this was something that the tankies, we was warning you guys about this. When I did segments, I talk about this on Twitter all the time, the Ukrainian corruption. People are like, what? Why are you bringing up Ukrainian corruption? Why is this important? Because of this. We covered how in Ukraine you have Zelensky that is purging left lead, any socialist, communist, anybody who questions Zelensky, because he's a true authoritarian tyrant. Zelensky is an authoritarian tyrant. I repeat. So Zelensky started purging, and he used this war as an opportunity to do what he always wanted to do, purge left opposition, which he did. He banned all socialist communist parties. He kept the fascist and Nazi parties. So liberals who claim they care about democracy were supporting this while it happened. They will say stuff like, "Oh, Zelensky, he has the right." Zelensky is and read all the articles I have. The liberals, they've been saying Zelensky is well within his right to fire anyone who disagrees with him because it's wartime. And they were silent about it because it happened to socialists and communists, which is why liberals support Ukraine. And they will always side with fascism in order to take out socialism and communism because that's their enemy. They're on the same side as the right wing. So when Zelensky was purging socialists and communists from the party, liberals viewed that as a good thing. This is why we should support him. This is great. Now, Zelensky is purging anyone who questions him or the Ukraine strategy. As we mentioned before, Ukraine is a divided country where many people want peace. Many people in Ukraine, especially in the eastern side of Ukraine, want to engage with Russia. They don't want to have this hostile relationship with Russia because they had a long time generational. They literally been bordered, family crossing between Ukraine and Russia for generations. Long time cultural ties between the country, which is why anyone who pretend that this is just a Russian act of imperial aggression, they just ignoring all the history behind this, right? So even among the extremist Zelensky cabinet, even among Zelensky's government, even they're like, I don't know, man. I think we're starting to be ran by the West. I feel like the West don't care about us because we also covered on this show. There have been foreign fighters, Ukrainian fighters that blew the whistle. And I'm sure they've been harshly punished because they've been saying that they've been essentially cannon fodder. People will sign up, go to Ukraine, and think they're going to have this glorious conquest against the Russians. And then they learn, they get there and they're like, oh shit, they're just pushing us to the front lines to die. Right? So now, there are people like Zelensky is way too far gone. Corrupt, he knows that Azov's going to kill him. But there are people in Zelensky government like, man, maybe we should be pushing for peace. Maybe siding with the West and destroying our country is an insane proposition. So Zelensky started purging these people. Zelensky started purging people in his own government. Now liberals are like, oh shit. Now that's where the article leaves off, right? Look at this. This is what NPR writes now. Zelensky's dismissal of senior officials is casting an inconvenient light on an issue that the Biden administration has largely ignored since the outbreak of the war in Ukraine. Ukraine's history of rampant corruption and shaky governments. And NPR, let me say this. It was not just the Biden administration that largely ignored the corruption. I don't know if you guys seen the coverage of Ukraine Russia by NPR. NPR has been one of the biggest cheerleaders for World War III ever since this conflict has started. Think about it. Have there been anybody from the gray zone, any anti-imperialists that have been on NPR talking about this? NPR has been repeating nonstop Putin derangement syndrome nonsense, pro-NATO nonsense. NPR writes this headline as if they don't have a platform. Oh my God, I can't believe people was ignoring this corruption in Ukraine. Why are people ignoring this? As if you don't got a platform. We had a platform and we explained it to people. And NPR, I have to say this because I don't want you guys to think that, oh my God, NPR having they stand up to Ukraine. They have been one of the biggest fucking cheerleaders, and NPR has been a fraud. NPR is something say NPR fascist propaganda. NPR is literally corporate, not even like people still think like NPR is like government funded, people powered. No, this shit has been bought and paid for by corporate America and pro-war nonsense. So I just want to lay that out. But I'm glad they wrote this article. I am glad that they wrote this article. So let's continue. Damn, we 30 minutes in already. Fuck. I gotta do a better job of pacing. But anyway. So they're saying how Biden administration largely ignored the outbreak. They ignored Ukraine's history of rampant corruption and shaky governments. And then if you mention this any time in the war, I guess before this article was released, like I have on Twitter, you get called a Putin sympathizer, Putin's puppet. But now we are getting to the point in the conflict where where people are starting to turn against it because they can't censor, they can't ban everybody and everything. They did a good job doing narrative management when the thing first started, but you can't do that forever. People are starting to wake up, especially the people who are starting to have their life impacted by this. So now, I would say the people who are politically crafty in the media, whoever did this piece, they're crafty because they're like, all right, we're gonna maneuver our way. We're gonna maneuver in a way where we can say we was one of the first people to call this out, but not really, because it wasn't really. We was our allies was the first people that was calling out this. So let's continue. As it presses ahead with providing tens of billions of dollars in military, economic, and direct financial support to Ukraine and encourage its allies to do the same, the Biden administration is now once again grappling with longstanding worries about Ukraine's suitability as a recipient of massive infusions of American aid. People who watch TYT, people who read NPR, people who don't watch left independent media are being our allies. These motherfuckers are months behind on politics. Like the same way you got to see like Anna Kasparian and Cenk Uygur, they would go on these random rants where they're like, oh my God, see, this is why these Democrats, they are sold out. And like, we've been telling you guys this. Those issues, which date back decades, and were not a significant part of former President Trump's first impeachment, have been largely pushed to the back burner in the immediate run-up to Russia's invasion. What the hell do Trump impeachment have to do with any of this? You see, NPR, they can't help but be shit libs. I'm literally looking at this program like, what the hell did Trump impeachment got to do with anything? They trying to throw that in because they got to get the liberals' dopamine firing up, right? Zelensky's fired his top prosecutor, their intelligence chief. So they fired like essentially their equivalent of the head of the CIA and other senior officials. And there was over 600 people that was fired. So what Zelensky is doing is essentially purging anyone who had a mild disagreement. It's a delicate issue for the Biden administration. With billions in aid flowing to Ukraine, the White House continues to make the case for supporting Zelensky's government to American public increasingly focus on domestic issues like high gas prices and inflation. High-profile supporters of Ukraine in both parties also want to avoid backlash that could make it more difficult to pass future aid packages. And this is the funny part. U.S. officials, these are the people who claim that we are fighting for democracy. These are the people who claim that Trump and Republicans are a unique evil because they are a threat to democracy. These same officials are quick to say that Zelensky is well within his right to appoint whoever he wants to senior positions. This is the liberal ward order that AOC and the squad is fighting for with their votes. And remove anyone who he sees collaborating with Russia. What does that mean? What does that mean? So Zelensky, according to U.S. officials, which is Democrats and Republicans too, but I just want to emphasize that both parties are trash. They don't believe in democracy. They claim that Zelensky can remove anyone who he sees as collaborating with Russia. Guys, the U.S. and the West called anyone who voted against Sweden and Finland joining NATO as a Russian puppet. So anyone who does not go along with this unhinged suicide pact by the West, they see as a Russian collaborator. So essentially, in Zelensky's government, anyone who's like, hey, I think this shit is a bad idea, man. I think the West is using us. Our country's being ripped to shreds. We need peace. And then Zelensky and the Ukrainian people, they can pull that person. A lot of these people were put in prison for quote unquote speaking out in support of Russia in Ukraine. They turn on for that. They will turn on them for that same reason. Also, I see Fiorella is doing some great report on this. We also got super chat. Hopefully, I didn't miss any. Let me go through and make sure I didn't miss any super chats. Thank you for the $10. Wellum, come on down to Zelensky's armament liquidators. We're all out of territory, morals, and everything must go. Thank you for the super chat. Make sure you guys do some more super chats if you guys want me to read them, or if you guys have any questions, anything you want to add to the conversation. Let me do a chat check while I'm here. Both parties are trash, right, Nick? Yep. It say go right. I always said I don't care about rooting for states, but I do oppose Western imperial dominance unapologetically. There's no hedging that. I oppose NATO. I oppose U.S. dominance in the unipolar world that the United States established. So I'm rooting for anyone to, especially in this case with Russia and China challenging that. I'm like, yeah, I want them to fucking ruin U.S. unipolarity. And anyone who's a leftist should. Our boy Roman House, the EU always been another arm of the U.S. They have no real power. Both parties are capitalist. Well said. I want to get to. I saw Fiorella, friend of the show. Big shout out to our boy Rome. Friend of Fiorella did a good report on this. So I think she was talking about the same thing. So let's watch and see how Fiorella covers this, because she got this bomb ass position at RT now. God damn. Anyway, let's check out this video by friend of the show Fiorella for Convo Couch.
After backing President Zelensky with endless accolades for the last 5 months, Western politicians and media are suddenly speaking out about Ukraine's internal corruption, nepotism, and instability that seem to have long plagued Kiev. This comes after the Ukrainian president's firing of several officials, including his once close friends, Prosecutor General Irina Venediktova and the head of Security Service, Ivan Bakanov. It's a delicate situation for U.S. officials as they've continuously defended and given Ukraine billions of dollars. But Zelensky's latest actions are being viewed by some as authoritarian, while the Americans want to avoid backlash that could make it more difficult for them to pass more aid for Kiev. The situation also seems to discredit the popular Western fantasy that Ukraine is this democratic, free country, highlighting corruption and internal division as a very real and present issue.
Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky's dismissal of senior officials is.
So obviously, great report by Fiorella there. It seemed like they gave rest to the article, so I'll leave it there. But yeah, there it is. I think that's a good way to wrap the segment up. That's people are gonna start slowly coming out and saying the truth about Ukraine, the same way people slowly came out and started telling the truth about the war on terror. But the establishment, the U.S. empire, always gets what it wants. So you notice they're questioning this stuff after we send the aid, after we get Sweden and Finland into NATO. And you notice that they just now starting to do. You guys see how nefarious that is? Now that we balls deep into this conflict, they're now asking about what? Oh my God, where weapons are going? That's what they're now doing now. Let me show you guys this. Hold up, because these are another questions that wasn't asked before we start arming Ukrainian Nazis. Here's another one. DHS concerned over Nazis returning to the U.S. after fighting in Ukraine. Why isn't the media? You got all these foreign fighters that went to Ukraine who are white supremacists. They want to fight for the Azov Battalion. I don't get these people the benefit of the doubt. They know what the fuck they're doing. You don't make a giant life decision like that without doing your research. So a lot of these Nazis went to Ukraine and fight, like they often do. And now even the DHS is saying this. They're concerned over the Nazis coming back. And they also concerned because, once again, Ukraine is a corrupt, rogue state. You got to send billions of weapons over there. Now, I promise you, in 15, 20 years, we're going to be fighting Nazis and they're going to be reported. You know how the United States actually is the one who funded those Nazis in the first place? And people are like, wow, that's crazy. And we lived it. I'm telling you, just wait for a few years down the road. And watch these Nazis come back with some of these weapons too. I wouldn't put them past them. I would not put it past them. Okay, let's get ready for our next story. Because I actually want to cover this. Because Biden's foreign policy is just like Donald Trump's. You even had Noam Chomsky say Biden just like Donald Trump in terms of foreign policy. I would extend that and say Biden is just like Trump. Our next story, we're going to talk about how Biden funded the police. He expanded DHS, ICE, the border industrial complex. He has been an anti-union president, offering union contracts to companies that are union busting. Domestic policy and foreign policy, Joe Biden is exactly like Donald Trump. Every single one of his campaign promises was all about rejecting Trumpism. We're going to make Saudi Arabia a pariah, unlike Donald Trump. And then he becomes office, he becomes the biggest Saudi Arabia bootlickers ever. We're going to get back into the Iran deal. That's what Biden said. Guys, I remember getting into so many arguments with AOC and Bernie sellouts, the progressive boutique left sycophants, where they will say stuff like this. They will say, yeah, I get it, Nick, man. Biden got a lot of problems, but hey, man, we gotta vote for Joe Biden because at least he's gonna get us back in the Iran deal, man. At least he's gonna end the genocide. Nick, he's gonna end the genocide in Yemen. People used to tell me this shit all the time. And I'm like, no, he's not, you fucking idiot. Because the U.S. empire does not change between presidents. Are we clear? The U.S. president is a puppet in a suit who will follow the direction of the Pentagon, and he'll follow this long-term, full-spectrum dominance ideology that has been in place at least since the 90s. I'm not saying it haven't before, but the formal declaration that we're going to have wage war in Syria, Libya, Iraq, Iran. These are foreign policy decisions that was made in the 90s. So every single president followed that order. The same way as Donald Trump. The same way as Donald Trump. So every single step of the way, I was proven right. I'm sorry, I don't know what to say. I feel like after all this shit that I got for advocating not voting for Jim Crow Joe, I am allowed to say I told you so. And one of the big I told you so's was that if you guys think that Joe Biden, who his entire career, he has been calling for escalating against Iran. His entire career, Joe Biden has been an war hawk for Iran. And he said he was going to get back into the Iran deal. There was an issue that Bernie brought up all the time, and he made it a policy, a demand of the progressives get back to the Iran deal. And you notice, where's Bernie Sanders on this? You notice that Bernie used to talk about the Iran deal all the time. Now he never talks about it. Why do you think that is? Because Joe Biden is his boss. And he works for Biden. He will not advocate for any issue that he does not have permission from Joe Biden. Because he was the one who talked about the importance of getting back to our Iran deal. So then Biden and the Democrats, following what was popular at that time, was criticizing Donald Trump for not getting back into the Iran deal. And so Biden said, the first thing we're going to do, once we take over, we're going to get back to our Iran deal, period. So not only did they not do that, he actually continued Trump-era policy on Iran, where even though Trump pulled out of the Iran deal first, So, and then Iran maintained compliance for a while. And then after it was clear that the U.S. was out, they started enriching their nuclear stockpile. Because why wouldn't they? After you guys not only pulled out of the Iran deal, you guys start implementing sanctions. This is what Trump did. So anyone who claimed that Trump is anti-imperialist, anti-war, you guys are clowns. Because his tough on Iran policy made it so not only they put out the Iran deal, and we was the one who break compliancy, we're going to put sanctions on Iran for us pulling out the deal. So Iran has been clear from day one that if you guys lift the sanctions on us, we will become compliant in the Iran deal. And Joe Biden took over and he said, we are not going to lift the sanctions. What you're going to do, you're going to sign the Iran deal. You're going to start enriching your nuclear stockpile while we have sanctions on you. And once you get done doing that, then we will lift the sanctions. Do you guys see how crazy that is? That is what the U.S. told Iran. The U.S. told Iran, stop encroaching and fighting for a nuclear weapon. Then we will lift sanctions. So, like any rational country or any rational person would do in this situation, they'll say, no, fuck you. You're the one who got out of the deal. You're the one who got out of the deal. And now you want to sanction us and demand we get in it first? No, lift the sanctions and then we join the Iran deal again. Which essentially was the same policy as Donald Trump. So now they've been at this standoff for ever since the beginning of the Biden administration, where Biden just been hoping they fold. Even though he know they won't fold because Biden want to escalate with Iran. This is the goal of the U.S. empire. Now we have this. Remember when we had to be afraid of Donald Trump because Donald Trump was the unhinged maniac that was going to get us into World War III and invade Iran and all this stuff? This is what Bernie was saying. This is what the progressive was saying. Look at this. Biden says U.S. will not wait forever for Iran on nuclear deal. Now, this is where it gets even in. If you vote for Joe Biden, you did not vote for the lesser of two evils. You voted for an absolute psychopath who at every turn has been trying to escalate World War III. Look at what they said. President Joe Biden said Thursday that the United States is not going to wait forever for Iran to rejoin the dormant nuclear deal. A day after saying he'd be willing to use force against Tehran as last resort. All you have to do is lift the sanctions. I'm going to find my old tweet. I report on it where the Iran foreign minister, everyone for the Iranian government has said, if you guys just lift the sanctions on us, we'd be more than happy to get back in the nuclear deal. Guys, it's been the United States that has been negotiating in bad faith. Because why would, if you pull out of the deal in the first place, then it's upon you to act in a way to get back in the deal. Like, for example, it's on you to lift the sanctions. Like, honestly, if Iran was the person who put out the Iran deal, and then the U.S. was like, we're going to keep the sanctions until you become back compliant, that will at least make sense because Iran pulled out the deal. If the United States pulled out a deal, which they did, why should Iran be forced to come to the table first and deplete its uranium for its nuclear stockpile before the sanctions are lifted? So now Joe Biden is threatening war with Iran. Boy, the Biden administration is unhinged. And this is something that I predicted. I predicted this. Look at the date of this. This tweet that Abe's like, this is Biden saying he was gonna he will use force against Iran regarding the nuclear deal, which is a break of his promise. Biden said he will get in the Iran deal. End of story. He didn't say during the campaign trail that he will negotiate and get a good deal so we can get back. You guys see that? Watch all the old school debates. He said, when I'm president, I will get back in the Iran deal. Period. He didn't say he was going to negotiate just like Trump to get the Iran deal. So here's my tweet. I promise you, when Joe Biden takes office, he will not end the genocide in Yemen. He will escalate the new Cold War with Russia. This is the only one I didn't get right. Try coup Venezuela again. He haven't tried. I do admit that. That's the only one that was iffy here. But never too late. They still support Juan Guaido, so I guess that count if I want to say face. Since the fact they still support Juan Guaido, right? And look at this one. Escalate with Iran. Guys, I tweeted this out December 31st, 2020. Now, do you guys know why RBN has grown now? Because we was a bunch of Negroes that were talking shit. And people was like, oh man, these are just Negroes talking shit. But our takes have aged gracefully since then. Everything I told you guys Joe Biden was going to be, he is. Every single thing. Every single fucking promise that he said he would he will implement. I told you guys last year before he even took office that he wasn't going to do it. I was literally talking to progressives like, you guys are literally shit libs for believing anything that Joe Biden says. So almost 100% accuracy here. The only thing you can argue about Venezuela, but the U.S. still support coup in Venezuela. They just can't. And how was I able to predict this stuff? The reason why I'm able to predict this stuff, because you understand theory and concepts. The Social Democrats, the Bernie Sanders left, have no revolutionary discipline, and they have no intellectual strength, merit. Because if you understood this last line, you wouldn't repeat bullshit like Bernie and his supporters did, where they thought that Biden was going to be a peace president. U.S. foreign policy doesn't change between presidents in the modern era. There is no lesser evil. If you're a Palestinian, there is no lesser evil. If you are Iranian, there is no lesser evil. Are we clear? But the white suburbs are obsessed over theorizing over what politician is the lesser of two evils and which isn't. Even though it doesn't matter if it's Democrat or Republican, our lives going to get worse. But the boutique left don't care because they're taken care of. Now you guys see why RBN and why we had to have this platform. Let's get to the next story. Because while AOC is focused on January 6th, look at AOC's timeline if you want to see something embarrassing. Actually, let me tweet. Let me actually get this last link ready. I'm gonna tweet this. I'm gonna tweet this part. I'm gonna do the Biden crime bill segment. So Joe Biden intro bill 2.0 covering now. Okay, so let's talk about the policing, because I have said it before the election. I said it after the election. There's another take that aged wonderfully. I told you guys Joe Biden and the Democratic Party. Hold on, did I miss a super chat? Hopefully I didn't miss a super chat. Sorry, there's too many comments. I gotta do this presentation without a producer, guys. I don't have a producer, so maybe I should. I'm only 50 minutes in. Fuck. I've been covering my stories too long. I've been trying to make my segments shorter, but there's always so much to talk about. Oh yeah, I gotta get coffee back. I'm gonna get coffee back, guys. We're gonna do that. All right, let's get to the Biden police story. So if you look at AOC's timeline, hold on, sorry, I gotta change the banner. Let's do this one. Jim Crow Joe strikes again. Jim Crow Joe doing what he loves the most. There's nothing that gets Joe Biden's rocks off than funding a fascist police system more that is meant to criminalize poverty, criminalize the working class. There's nothing that gets Joe Biden's rocks off more than bombing other countries. Find a girl who loves you the way that Joe Biden loves committing genocide. Find a partner that has that amount of dedication to you. Find a partner that has dedication to you the same way that Biden has for funding the prison industrial complex. We're gonna write an RBN dating book one day. Just find that partner who have the passion for killing brown people like Dick Cheney. That'd be our version of of a dating philosophy, right? So let me pull up the story because once again maybe I should get a little better at pacing instead of ranting all day, right? Then I do a chat check. I ain't seen chat in quite a while. President Biden will lay out plans to ask Congress for $37 billion for crime prevention programs as he seeks to address one of the top concerns among Americans, the crime wave. You guys see how our prison industrial complex operates? Because for weeks, we have been calling out the propaganda on this network. The propaganda that happens every year. Every year, the police in their massive PR departments come out and they say, oh my God, there's a massive crime rate. We got to do something to stop it. Even though crime, ever since the 70s, has been down. Ever since the 70s and 80s, crime had dropped in this country, meaning violent crime, as a trend. Like the same way you got climate trends, where you look at over a long period of time, the trend in this country is violent crime is going down. But despite that, police officers and the police departments claim, oh my God, crime is on the rise. We need to funnel more money to the police, which Joe Biden already did. Joe Biden ran, and Bernie Sanders helped him sell the idea that he was the president that was gonna get COVID under control. So Biden's gonna get COVID under control. That's why we gotta elect Joe Biden as president. I know he's a fucking racist piece of shit capitalist, but we want to get COVID under control. We gotta vote for Joe Biden. Then he literally gave all the COVID relief funds to the police. He told people, here, let me Biden COVID funds. Here it is. Just because I always like to show you guys the receipts. I don't expect you guys just to believe everything I say. I can back up everything I say though. This is the person that AOC and the progressives, they still say he's doing a good job. Still to this day, they say that. Biden says cities should spend leftover COVID funds on hiring cops. Now, I'm going to ask you guys, who's the real threat? Is the anti-vaxxer a threat? The person who didn't have the vaccine? Because these people, they wanted you to hate the person without the vaccine. Or should you hate the person that is taking COVID funds and using that to the police? Which do you guys think is more of a threat? This is why we don't advocate being fearful and hating our neighbors. The ruling class is our enemy. If you're one of them people that during the COVID-19 pandemic, you was focused on just attacking the unvaccinated, you was a youthful idiot of the establishment. Because while you was doing this, while the progressive was doing this is what Biden was doing. Sending COVID funds to the police. Refusing to implement Medicare for all, which would have saved 350,000 lives during this pandemic. But tell me more how the unvaxxed was our enemies, right? So this whole thing about Biden expanding the police is not even new. But he announced this new program, which is essentially the crime bill 3.0. Actually, I don't even know what number we're on. Because if I were to say crime bill 3.0 or 2.0, that's actually misleading because we have so many different crime initiatives since then. So I don't even know what number we're on, but you guys get what I'm saying. This great tweet by Samuel. Biden's plan includes $13 billion over the next 5 years to hire and train an additional 100,000 police officers, just like the 1994 crime bill did. So let me show you guys something. So as we have Jim Crow Joe pushing for the crime bill, literally a new crime bill is what we're getting right now. You have here, this is AOC's timeline. This is a timeline of our progressives. Our government is not giving us health care. There are people going homeless. People are starving due to inflation costs is pricing them out of their cost of living. But this is the shit that AOC's tweeting about. You guys see this? January, nothing, non-stop January 6th shit. AOC retweeted. Very striking to watch McConnell footage, knowing that a few months later he led the push to block a House passed bill that would have set up a bipartisan committee to investigate January 6th. Here's another AOC retweet. Donald Trump's staff were drained at 4:15. Oh my God, the poor staff of Donald Trump. Dark money groups funded and organized the rally before January 6th attack on the Capitol. Look, bro, AOC's timeline is literally just January 6th shit. You guys see this? The breadth and depth of what the January 6th committee has stitched together to include the video of congressional leaders discussing how to resume the count is extraordinary, a remarkable historical record. Look at this one, another one. Another January 6th tweet by AOC. Remember, even after running for his life, Senator Hawley chose to fundraise off his encouraging and fist bumping the violent mob, and even sold the merchandise himself, doing so from then through the year. You guys know it's all bullshit. And I'm glad people agree with me. This is my tweet response. Nobody in the working class cares about this stupid shit, AOC. No one in the working class cares about the January 6th bullshit, while Joe Biden is literally trying to pass the crime bill 3.0. No one gives a shit, AOC. Hold on, I lost my fucking. Sorry, I lost the story. Let me pull it back up. That's why I saw all the other stories. I accidentally closed it. So that's why you see this, AOC. While they are doing the January 6th hysteria bullshit, Joe Biden is escalating war against Iran. He is funding the ethnic cleansing of Palestinians. Do you guys know Israel just bombed the capital city of Syria? Do you guys know that? Do you guys know that Israel is literally bulldozing Palestinian homes? That BlackRock is buying up properties and driving up rent prices? Why do you guys think they're doing all this stuff right now? They're doing it because they got the January 6th trial that AOC is more than happy to distract you with. That shit doesn't mean nothing. We got a new crime bill coming, but that's you guys see AOC's fucking priority. All right, Israel bombed Damascus. Yep. But they doing it all the time. AOC and the squad not calling it out. They don't give a fuck. We gonna be all right. We gonna be all right. We're gonna be all right. We didn't talk about January 6th. You guys see the video that Bernie just dropped? Look at this. This is Bernie's latest video. Here's Bernie. We can't give in to doomerism. You guys see Bernie's latest video? I didn't actually watch it. Actually, I should. Let's be fair. Before I rip this to shred, because I actually didn't watch the video. So I actually do want to be fair. Let's watch the video. Because as Joe Biden is pushing the new crime bill, as working class people will continue to be starved out because of massive inflation, people going homeless, people don't have health care. There's another story. Goddamn, so many. I gotta fucking find a way to cover all this shit. Where's the let me see. Insurance. Because there's a story about how health insurance rates are going up. Where's the article? Anyway, I'll just cover it. I'll show you guys your seat now. But there was this story that came out that showed that health insurance rates are going up because of the pandemic and people are using insurance more. So now people are going to have to pay more in healthcare costs. People pay more in gas. People pay more in food. People are struggling. But the message that coming from Bernie Sanders is don't give it to doomerism. Look at this. Let's check this out. Let's get. I want to be fair. Let's see what he said first before I rip him.
Probably mispronouncing it, Gemma, and she writes, I have found it hard to avoid doomerism. how do I avoid losing all hope? And then another question that comes from Patrick, is it ever going to get any better? Should I maintain any will to live? Now that's a little bit, makes me nervous, Patrick. Yes, you should maintain a will to live. And, look, these are very tough times. And I think what we have to do is be honest about it and say, these are tough times, but these are not the only tough times this country has experienced, or the American people have experienced, or the world has experienced. The 1930s, 25 during the Depression, 25% of people in this country were unemployed. You had children working in fields, children not going to school, working in fields, in factories. In 1941, when we had to deal with both Japan and Germany and the rise of Nazism and Japanese imperialism, we weren't prepared to do that in 1941, but the country got its act together and literally in a few years built the economy and the armed forces that we needed to save the world from Nazism. So, these are tough times, but it is not appropriate for us to live in despair, because all of this is about is not just us. It is about our kids. I have 4 kids. I have 7 grandchildren, and you do too. And we are fighting for not just ourselves, but for the future and future generations. So it seems to me that despair is not an option. This is tough stuff. And the victories are not going to be easy. We are facing enormously powerful opposition. But throughout history, that has been the case. People have faced enormous opposition, and things change. Things get better. So, and all we can continue to do is to keep fighting.
That boy Bernie loves to sell him some hopium. God, that answer was fucking trash. He had people that like, man, I'm damn near about to kill myself because I'm struggling so much. And Bernie was like, hey, cheer up, man. I promise you things gonna get better. Hey, why are you so sad? You make me nervous. Remember that the person was like, I'm having a hard time not killing myself. And Bernie's like, oh, you make me nervous. Oh my God, things are gonna be all right, dude. Things gonna be all right. Come on, man. Don't talk about that doomer ass shit. Come on, man. Cheer up. Come on, man. I'm a senator. I make $200,000 a year. I am privileged. I am taken care of. Well, you guys are killing my vibe with this fucking doomerism. You guys and your fucking doomerism. Come on, man. Come on, we're gonna be all right, right? Come on. That was nothing but fucking hopium. That was some hopium bullshit. How does anything Bernie just said there help the working class? Because what he said doesn't even make fucking sense. He said, well, America, we went through a hard time in the Great Depression. We had World War II. And yeah, Bernie, how many people fucking died? How many people died because of that? Things was not okay. Things were not okay in the Great Depression. People did not survive the Great Depression. People's life got worse. Holy shit. You guys see this toxic positivity that come out of the boutique left? You had Joe Biden that is pushing for a new crime bill. People going homeless. People have no health care. But Bernie, he just wants you like, things are great. All we gotta do is keep fighting. And by the way, Bernie's not fucking fighting for you. So isn't that that's so disgusting, that video. That video is disgusting. People writing to Bernie Sanders, we run out of hope. Oh, what do you think I'm gonna do? Challenge Joe Biden? Like Bernie kind of like, what the fuck you want me to do about it? The fuck, man? You guys want to see why people don't have hope? You guys want to see why? Because we are governed by a psychopathic government, and our progressive leaders abandoned us. You guys keep saying Joe Biden is doing better than expected. Now, considering the fact that Joe Biden is increasing police funding, combine that with this. Jim Crow Joe is back again, stronger than ever. This is a question that Ben Burgess, isn't that the dude from the fucking Majority Report? No, I'm probably thinking about someone else. Well, Ben Burgess or whatever. They write, why the hell isn't Biden ending the federal war on cannabis? Why do you think, Ben? Why do you think? The Democratic Party is the party of white supremacy. Do you guys understand why RBN says this? And for some reason, we're the only channel that says it? They are the party of the drug war. They are the party that extinguishes black lives. And there are people who all for voting for the Democratic Party who is, without a doubt, unequivocally anti-black. Could put two and two together. Biden wants to hire more police officers and increase their budget while he's continuing the federal war on drugs. Why do we give these people the benefit of the doubt? Biden is literally implementing policy to go after black Americans and other poor working class people, black and brown people. These are the people that Bernie Sanders and the squad is selling out. Do you understand why we were giving into doomerism, Bernie? Do you understand it now? Jim Crow Joe is literally funding a new war on the drugs, a new crime bill. But Bernie's like, man, we can't give into doomerism. This is the Biden administration. So we in this climate crisis. We in a climate crisis with the heat waves all over the place. Crops are dying. Fishing areas are no longer able to be used because of the ocean acidification. Ice shelves are melting and the sea levels are rising faster than scientists even thought they would. But we don't have a ruling class anywhere that is willing to address it. Bernie, you essentially just gave up any concept of a Green New Deal and fighting for that. So Biden is seeking $37 billion to fucking lock up black people and brown people, but only 2.3 for climate. You guys see this? $37 billion for the police state. 2.3 billion for climate. But Bernie is wondering why we giving into doomerism. Why we said we gotta skip electoral politics altogether and start doing this shit on our own. And now these people want you to vote blue. And this is the anti-blackness that I see all the time among progressives, which I do not tolerate. I'm done with it. Because let me ask you guys this question. Would these people vote for a homophobic bigot? If there was a candidate that was openly like, yeah, we don't like trans people, we don't believe that gay people should have the right to get married. If that was the Democratic candidate and he was open about this, do you think people will vote for them? Ask yourself that question. Will you vote for a Democrat who was a homophobic bigot? The answer to that question will be no. That will be the hard line in the sand for every single fucking progressive. But progressives and liberals will vote for someone who's anti-black. You guys notice that? View against gay, and guys, I agree with it. If someone's a homophobic bigot, I'm not voting for them. If someone's against gay marriage, I am not voting for them. The same way, I would not vote for someone who is an anti-black, police state, drug war fighting piece of shit. But white progressives, white leftists, they don't give a fuck. They don't give a fuck. They don't give a fuck that the Democratic Party is anti-black. They don't give a fuck that they locking up and killing our people. Look at this. Joe Biden had the audacity to invite George Floyd's family to the White House and pretend that he's on the side of the George Floyd family. So then he funds the police more. This is not the article I was looking for, but it does. Let me find the right one. Here it is. This is an article we reported on a while ago. No progress since George Floyd. U.S. police killing 3 people a day. So Biden and the Democratic Party invited George Floyd to the White House And then after they invited George Floyd to the White House, they then proceeded to betray the entire movement by funding his killers more. So I am asking all of you guys, and I'm going to clip this too, because I would love to hear the answer. How is that not the most disrespectful thing that any politician done to the black community? We had a giant movement around the death of George Floyd. You guys invite his family to the White House, and then after that, you guys fund the police and its killers more, who have since doubled down. Here's another report. Police killings of black Americans amount to crimes against humanity. The ICC found. But according to white leftists and according to white progressives, this isn't enough to stop them to vote for the Democratic Party. But if someone was anti-gay, oh boy, they will be done. They will get shredded. Like imagine Joe Biden was coming out against gay marriage and LGBT equality. Boy, they'll be done with him. But you can be anti-black, you can be anti-Latino, you can be anti-Muslim, you can do all that shit until the cows come home. And they're like, man, come on, man, you guys gotta be practical. Come on, man, you can't get everything you want. Yeah, he's selling out your community a little bit. Yeah, he's killing a little bit of black people. Come on, man. You gotta be tactical with your votes. That was Sam Cedar said, remember? You gotta be tactical with your votes. Yeah, he's killing your community. Who gives a fuck? We gotta protect the gays. The gays, guys, the gays. Do you guys see how RBN and the black left, you guys think we don't notice this? We don't think, you don't, do white people, do y'all really think that black left don't notice this fucking hypocrisy? This completely different way that you guys treat and the urgency you guys have on like gay people issue, which I think is important. You guys heard me speak about it. I think it's important. But you see how I have the same level of importance on gay issues that I do black issues, that I do Latino issues, that I have for the issues that Palestinians go through? Among white leftists and progressives, there is a hierarchy. And like trans people and gay people, they're on top of that hierarchy. Like if you're black, trans, and gay, they will stand with you. But if you remember the black community and you're talking about how the Democratic Party is destroying your community, come on, man, you can't get everything you want. Imagine them saying that to a gay person. A gay person like, yo, I wouldn't vote for that Democrat. He say he's against gay marriage. Come on, man. You know, you're not gonna get everything you want. Yeah, he's against gay marriage. Yeah, he's against gay marriage. But come on, you're not gonna get everything. Yeah, he don't think trans people are people. But come on, you're not gonna get everything. Can you imagine? Can you imagine that? This is the shit that black people face all the time on the left. Should I have anything on the police? Oh yeah, let me show you guys. This is what the Democratic Party is funding. I'm gonna show you guys why we have doomerism, Bernie. Bernie Sanders, Bernie Sanders and white left. I'm gonna explain to you guys why at least RBN may have a little bit of doomerism in them. Right? Now that you guys are the pro-police party, the squad helped them fund the police more. This is what the Democratic Party is about. If you guys want to see what this shit really is. You had Brandon Calloway, a 25-year-old college graduate, a fraternity member and DoorDash driver, was brutally beaten by Oakland police over allegedly failing to stop at a stop sign and driving only 12 miles per hour faster than the speed limit. This is what they left him. This is a fucking lynching. They lynched this dude. This is a fucking lynching. You guys see why we got doomerism, Bernie? Because these are the thugs that Biden want to fund more. Wait, damn it, I keep going out of order. Meanwhile, I guess I'll do this one next. So the NYPD, they just killed an 18-year-old for having a water gun. And not only did they kill this guy because he had a water gun, the NYPD put out this press release saying that bead blasters shoot gel water beads propelled by a spring-loaded air pump, making them an air rifle. Air rifles are a violation of NYC and unlawful to possess. Violators found in possession of these will be issued criminal summons and the weapon will be confiscated. What they should have said, anyone found with these weapons will be killed, because that's what happened. They killed an 18-year-old that was playing with a water gun. And then they tweeted about like, yeah, see, if you had that water gun, we're going to fucking kill you. We're going to be all right. This is Bernie don't give a fuck about this, guys. They could not give a fuck. And look at what state this is. New York, which is what? A blue state. These are Democrats that are killing us. You guys understand this? Democrats. But David Schroeder would say we should vote for these people. Because we must stand with the trans community. We must stand with the LGBTQ community that the Democrats don't even give a fuck about. We gotta stand for the gay community, so we gotta allow them to kill black people. Doesn't it make sense? We gotta stand with gay people, so we gotta allow them to kill the Palestinians. Doesn't it make sense? This is what they literally believe. This is another one. These are the people who are police officers. 40% of police officers admit to committing domestic violence. They are psychopaths, and they are meant to be psychopaths. This is a recent story. Police officer kills daughter, then he killed himself. After, and this headline pretty shit, I just found this quickly. But he shot his wife and son. He shot his entire family, and his daughter died because he got into an argument with his wife. Yes, that's what happened. A North Las Vegas police officer killed his daughter before killing himself following a domestic disturbance over the weekend. His wife and son were also shot and injured. So why they have goofy ass headline, right? Lee's wife and son wounded. Even now they still protecting them. The headline should be officer kills daughter, shoot family. Actually, keep it simple. Officer shoots up family over a domestic dispute. Daughter killed. You see how they vague? I mean, when I first saw this, I read. I'm like, oh shit, they shot everybody. 40% of cops report being domestic violence abusers. Stories like these happen all the time, and the only people that report on it are leftists. These are the people that buy want to fund more. These are the psychopaths. And now do you understand why we give into Doomers and Bernie? So, we about 90 minutes in. I think that's a good way right there. So I'm literally yelling. I'm going to lose my fucking voice. It's important. It's almost impossible to talk about the police without doing that, though. All right, I guess I'll read some chats. I'm sorry I haven't been reading the chats, guys. It's like I'm doing this show on my own, no producer. So let's see if I can find some good chats to wrap the show up. Lady Alex M. There are numerous cops that shoot their families and then themselves. I'm going to just kind of quickly go through some of these comments. Air rifles by law are not considered a firearm. So you cannot be charged with carrying a firearm if it's an air gun. Well, not anymore. Guess who write the laws? Our politicians. Our country is ran by criminals. So what you're saying is correct until they decide to change the law. We live in a capitalist dictatorship. Watching Bernie gaslight us is painful. You guys see how upset I am? I don't want to fuck. Like, this is depressing as shit. That even the furthest left members that we have were gaslight us to death. And after seeing that video, I hope you guys understand the role that they play. Your NBA Jam level fire. Yeah, we are on Twitch too. I see a few people commenting on the Twitch side. Oh shit! Was the audio bad on that video? I'm sorry. I apologize, guys. I apologize. We are a proletariat network. Once RBN get 100,000K, maybe we might be able to get a producer one of these goddamn days. Dude, doing this damn show would be so much easier if I had a producer. Like, you guys know how fucking hard it is managing all the chat, links, make sure stream is good, all this shit. And then you gotta provide good content one of these days. We gotta continue to grow, though. We get there. Damn, man, there's so many fucking chats, man. Keep it up, go. Tony said, don't talk to me about gun control until you get serious about cop control. Yep. That position in the channel, along the police and military is armed. We armed too. Nick, this is what happened when you hire these people with low IQ. They now saying that college dropouts, they literally they are going to decrease what it takes to become a police. Chicago PD is the worst, even worse than NYPD. Do you guys see the pattern? The NYPD, the Chicago PD, the LAPD. These are Democrat cities. The police state is the problem that was caused by the Democratic Party. Schroeder's a fucking buffoon. NYPD is one of the worst. NYC just passed an easier conceal and carry law for rich people. Not surprised. If you're a class conscious, you should not be fucking supporting these gun control laws. I don't know. I mean, maybe I could prepare a segment on this, but that doesn't surprise me. Let's see what he said here. You're an idiot if you think CEOs cause this by paying themselves more, and corporate lobbying of the government isn't capitalism either. Thank you for the great comment. If shoot water, fuck you, NYPD. All right, let's go to some new one. Thank you for Revolutionary Blackout on Twitch. Actually, I'm on my personal Twitch. I'm on the Socialist AMA Twitch channel right now. But we also have I have my own Twitch, and then we got an RBN Twitch. Because I used to stream before RBN started. I was on Twitch. I streamed on Twitch, and I streamed on my old YouTube channel. But then I pretty much gave that up to grow RBN. So yeah, I was monetized on Twitch and everything. I had it's not partner. It's the level right before partner that I had. I had my channel that was monetized. I don't have that anymore because of RBN. I sacrificed a lot for this network, guys. I sacrificed a lot. But I think forming this network and forming this mutual aid society that we're working on is way more important than me doing better as an individual streamer, because there was a lot of sacrifice involved in this. Nick, tell Savvy that Twitch is this, please. Savvy's killing the game, man. Savvy is like our chief propaganda arm at RBN. Here in Vegas, they're going to increase policing in schools as well. It's getting bad. We are under assault by the capitalist class. When you understand theory, at least the Marxist, the communist theory that we introduced here, we're not afraid because we're not about clicks. A lot of people, they don't want to talk about this shit because they don't want to scare off like right wingers. We don't give a fuck. If you hear, you hear. If you click on our video, you click on our videos. Because in order for us to have a worker class movement that actually disciplined, you have to understand Marxist theory. And once you understand Marxist theory, you understand that the capitalist class must have a violent arm to implement itself, to implement its exploitation. And once you understand that, then resisting and fighting against the Democratic Party becomes a duh. It becomes an obvious thing that we must do, because the Democratic Party are funding and they are instrumenting this capitalist army that is meant to siphon wealth from workers. And you notice that progressives like Bernie, the Social Democrats, they're not even there yet. They still believe that we should go through a party that is actively funding the institution that's killing black people more. You guys see that? Big shout out to my friend Didi. Yeah, I need to get some more shirts. I got this one because I got a lot. I don't go clothes shopping that often. But anyway, I think we're about 90 minutes in. So I think this is a good time to call it. I appreciate you guys for watching. Please support the channel. We're on Patreon. You can see our Patreon in the description. That allows us to continue to engage in mutual aid, grow the network, because we want to open RBN chapters. We got a lot of plans for the left. Like, we're not just a network. We are activists who just so happen to have a platform, and we got a lot of great plans. So help us hit. Like I said, I wanted to get 30K by the end of the year. I don't know how conservative that is. That's over 1,000 a month, which we've been getting. So let's get RBN to. Let's make a banner. Hashtag RBN to 30K now. Cause we now at what the hell are we in terms of subscribers? So let's get RBN to 30K. Fuck, I closed my YouTube. Let me see where we at right now. Let me check real quick. Yeah, we had. Damn, we just got another 100, so we had 20.1K now. So I think we can do 30K. Let's do it. And as we grow, we want to make the left actually have revolutionary discipline. So please support us on Patreon. Please share the show. We only was able to grow the way we did because you guys are willing to share, right? Because it's not the algorithm, right? Glenn Greenwald tried to pretend Glenn Greenwald pretend I don't exist ever since I ratioed Glenn a few times. The last time I ratioed Glenn was when we were talking about policing on Twitter. Ever since we had this conversation about policing, where Glenn was trying to like appeal to the right wingers, he was like, "Well, the only people who support defunding police are white liberals," and you guys know because you guys watch RBN that's not true. So I ratioed him and I explained to him that he's essentially being a useful idiot to both parties by repeating this stuff, and I came with the facts. Ever since then, Glenn Greenwald pretend I don't exist. But anyway, we don't need the approval of boutique people. Like the people you see on RBN, these are the people who fuck with us. We're not here to beg. Either you join this movement or you don't. It's just that simple. So thank you guys for watching. If we grow, we may able to get more of these great guests that you guys want us to have on, right? So anyway, have a good one. You guys have a good weekend. RBN, we sign